which will avail you with options for you to be a part of this. And you'll be in position to buy government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, of course, don't forget, still on top of that, you have to register with your national identification number, and you'll be able to proceed. And of course, your financial life, I can guarantee you, will never be the same in that regard. Zabo made this a reality regardless of where you're located, whether you are in the urban center, north of Uganda, east, west, south. You can be able to access as long as you have a mobile phone, and not limited to a smartphone. Even a button phone can actually do this, and you will be in position to have your financial stability achieved. Zabo says, my money, my future. And All Texas Africa tells us, do something new. It's the year 2023. Well, right about now, of course, I know it's still a fresh week, Tuesday, right? Yes. And I know you have aspirations as a young entrepreneur. Let you get inspired for this moment now, as we get into our business tips and quotes.
Of course, there's not much we can add for this financial year because government has...
Very interesting in there. Of course, the final quote in there is talking about the leader. You're the vision bearer, so you need to know the way. So you have to make sure that actually you have the answers for the people you lead, right? Yeah, but of course, still in this very session of tips and quotes, there are quite lots of aspects that we really need to, know as business people. These put, there is what they call, we can all do the same business, right? Are we all dealing in phones? But I have a distinction on my business, on how I do things.
Uniqueness.
There's a uniqueness.
You have to have something unique to your business that the other person does not have.
Doesn't have. And there are quite a very interesting aspects in here, which I talk about here. I'm going to go into the Bible a little bit. The Bible is a very wonderful book, quoted with quite so many items, and I believe it has keys to wealth. You remember Solomon?
Yes.
The wisest man.
Yeah, King Solomon.
King Solomon. There is that part where he's sleeping in the night and God comes to him and tells him what he wants him to do. And Solomon asks for understanding, wisdom and a hearing heart. But there is something to this aspect of a hearing heart. You see, there are two aspects in here that we can have. You can have emotional intelligence, but okay, you could have this normal intelligence, like you understand, you understand things, you can excel at things, you can even have this intelligence in your business, you know how things work, but there is this other side of the aspect of emotion, whereby you have a heart which can judge right. You see, sometimes we get too zealous with things and we put our cram work out there, which is perfect, but we put it in the wrong place. For example, it's like you're going to teach a nursery, a P1 kid. You're going to teach them computer, but you're teaching them as though you are teaching a P7. Okay, let me even say that. What you're teaching is right, but you don't have the wisdom and judgment to know that
the audience
doesn't fit in that. So I believe I apply also this to how we run our businesses.
Yeah,
and that's where the distinction comes in.
Yeah, adjusting.
Yeah, you adjust according to that. You judge. You're like, okay, we are selling the same things, but I structure it in a way. I may choose to have some sort of, there is what they call in service sector price discrimination of some sort of a way. I may be having the best materials. I can even explain to you all this and that. But if in my inner being, in my emotions, I don't, because what's the ease of me explaining to you all this, these functions like this, when at the back of my mind, I know you're not going to buy it. That's not being wise. That's not being understanding, So that's what is going to really, I feel like it's going to define you uniquely, from other people when it comes to that. So that is something which you need to really consider, and most especially you as a leader, as a business person, and actually an entrepreneur is a leader. Yes, as an entrepreneur you have to have it in mind that you're a leader, so you need to have this kind of wisdom to be able to lead people efficiently. At the end of the day, you'll see how, you see there is something about teams, because whenever you're running something quite big, you need a huge team that you're going to put up together. That how best positioned are you to control this team? I mean, knowing that he's going to be the salesperson, he's going to be my productions person, he's going to be my administrator into that. I mean, it's all the skill that you all put together as a leader to make sure that things happen efficiently. Well, that has been my thoughts for this morning. Apart from, of course, adding on to what you read in there, make sure that you have, that distinction, have wisdom, understand what you're doing, have an understanding perspective. You see, it's like how, I normally relate this to, it's like how growing up and your parents still, when you're 5 years old, they will tell you never play with a flat iron. Actually, they won't tell you don't play with it, but they will tell you never touch it when you're 3 years old, because that's when you're starting to, have some bit of understanding. They'll put it into you that this is dangerous, a knife, you won't handle it. But once you make 18 years, your very dad is going to tell you, help me iron my shirt. I mean, you're touching it.
I know, because, in that age, when you're 3 or 2, you're not, 5 or, you're
can't judge, right?
Destructive age. It's a destructive age and touchy age. So
exactly,
definitely, you have to be cautious. You have to command a child. Do not touch that. Okay, and of course, you see, there is this thing we had when growing up. Candles. Though then, people had candles. Used to use Sibawa candles. So definitely,
candles,
they would tell you not to touch the candle. When you're a child, you're like, continuously tell you. And if the moment you got burnt, it was on you.
It was on you.
I mean, you would not have excuses because they have told you often, do not touch it. Touch it. So definitely, at a certain age, there has to be command. Even in companies, these stages, when you're coming up, you have to command. You have to stand the ground.
Definitely.
Yeah, you may when it grows, you may be a little bit relaxed and delicate, but then from the beginning,
from the scratch, from the foundations,
you have to be so hard on people.
Absolutely,
because you're growing something. Yeah. So when we relax, people also lay back and they're like, probably, But anyway, you see, when I was home, I was reading something interesting about Billy Gates, and I didn't know. When you're home, you do a lot of reading.
Reading, yeah.
So I was reading, and I saw he did his first software program. Actually, at the age of 13.
30.
13.
13. He was a teenager.
13 years. So, in my mind, 13. I must have taken an IQ of 100 and something to really.
Now, okay, what you need to know is that if he made his first software programming at 13, he could have started practicing software development at 9.
Yeah.
And the 4 years, he had 4 years of experience already at 13 of building software.
So definitely, I was thinking to myself, and of course, the fact that he dropped out of college, you mean, because he already had something, discovered something at the age of 13, and he's in school, and he's like,
what am I doing
what
here?
am I doing? I mean, I have the knowledge.
I have the knowledge.
Let me go and chase it. That doesn't call for dropping out of school.
Of course, people shouldn't drop out of school. Don't do that. Actually, somebody say that, you know, you people give examples of people who dropped out of school, and you mentioned Mark Zuckerberg because you want to say you're covering up for your laziness, not wanting to go to school. But remember, those people dropped out of Harvard universities,
Yes.
Oxford University, big universities. For you, are dropping out of what university?
But I have, no, listen, these guys dropped out of
But it wasn't
college
even their wish.
with backup.
They had backup.
They had backup of the knowledge they had acquired in the years before. Now imagine at 13, you've acquired this knowledge and you are studying something you already know. You already know how to operate this. Like, okay, let me go and start.
So it's more like they were repeating things.
They were
So it's
repeating
like
things to
repetition.
themselves. So definitely, this calls for, you know, for young children. It's never too early to start. It's never too early.
And it's never too late
It's
either.
never too late as well. So you see, you know, I was discussing with my brother. We had he used to play with electronics, and we had the flying fan. There's a way he used
Flying fan. And it
to fix wires, and the fan would
Fly?
would fly, fix battery and
put something together and the fan flies.
Yes.
Interesting.
And you know, I was wondering if he had, you know, had much interest, you know, because
in innovation,
you know, parents would be like, no, you're wasting time on that. So definitely, I think parents also have a contribution
they do.
to this.
We
So
play-
if you
yeah,
find
we
your
play.
child, that is why, let's say in the Western part, those Americans, they have these exhibitions, kids have to do projects, school projects, you know, unique things. So for us, we're doing it at an advanced age. So definitely, if we started it in this young,
would have been much more better.
would be much better. You do not know the kind of knowledge a 9-year-old has. They could invent something.
And you know, at that time, the brain can easily adopt.
Yes.
Though, have you also come to
creative
realize?
enough.
But still, have you come to realize? I think we are different. There are things we tried. Now, there are things I used to read now, like mathematics. They back, and they were not making sense. But after you getting exposed to certain things, when you approach them, you now have an understanding of these things, how things really work. Though there are some people that grasp it for the first time. Because I believe as we experience, subconsciously, there are things that we learn, and by the way, there are things we learn unknowingly.
Yes.
And not all time learning may involve the conscious mind. You could be walking around the street, you look at something, you don't pay attention to it, but your subconscious mind has actually absorbed it. Then before you know it, you reach a point and you're executing something and it's excellent as though you've done it before. And you're asking yourself, how did I even know how to do this? Not knowing that, there are things you've been observing moving, you didn't pay attention to them, but your inner mind, what they call the spirit, is observing. Of course, the conscious mind, things never make sense, and they don't have to, by the way.
Yes, of course. And me, actually, I would say, if I get a chance to be a parent, definitely, if what my child gets hands on, I will be like, do it.
Do it.
Do it. You never know, you know, if it's basketball, hold that ball. You may be the Michael B. Jordan of Uganda or Africa.
Absolutely.
You know, so encourage your children. It's never too early.
It's never too early.
If
It's never
you
too
know,
late.
if a kid is brilliant enough, use it as an advantage as a parent. You may start. They may, you know, now you could give an example of like Fresh Kid, his talent singing. You know, he's fending for his family.
Family.
At his young
age.
So, you know. Yeah.
All right. Now it's exactly 20 minutes past 8. You're still watching Smartman's Business, your daily Kickstarter. I'm Andrew Barigi with Masika Time here. But of course, now heading into our other updates. Remember, today we're talking about enhancing tax mobilization. Now, of course, we're looking at widening the tax base as the Uganda Revenue Authority targeting 29 trillion in this financial year. Now, with this discussion, we have Honorable Elijah Okupa, Member of Parliament, Kasilo County. But of course, we need to understand what strategies can be employed in our tax mobilization move. Let's get into this.
Of course, there's not much we can add for this financial year because government has already stipulated using the tax bills how to mobilize revenue in order to finance the budget for the financial years. That's why you saw the amendments to the tax bills that included the income tax, the value-added tax, the stamp duty, the procedures, the tax procedures. So all of those are meant to raise revenue in order to fulfill and meet the expenditures for this financial year. But to me, we could have been able to raise more money if the issues of exemptions, these exorbitant exemptions that government has awarded to friendly companies, to companies that are highly connected, of high-profile people. You see the issue of the Bujagali, because you keep wondering why would do tax exemptions on income tax, because it's based on the income that you have earned or on profit that you have earned. Why would government exempt? Because if you have not made profit, then you shouldn't be able to pay. The law provides that you can't pay income tax. But now to go beyond that, I think it's one of the ways that limits our energies in raising revenue for this country. But also, even if you brought those bills, you find in a way they are squeezing the small people. The tax bills, most of it are targeted at squeezing very small businesses, which we should be giving time and room to grow. So, to me, yes, we could have increased more than that by removing all the exemptions. They can benefit from the other incentives which they are giving, but as investors. But these ones for companies which have been here, I think it was very, very, very wrong to do that. Of course, in the mobilization, maybe working for the next financial year, they should be able to, first of all, make sure that all business people are registered, because we have about, I think, 31,000 taxpayers in the database of URA. We're just looking at it recently last week we're meeting with the URA. So that's what we have. But even the attempts that they have tried to do to register, they have failed to register all and fulfill at all. Because when it even comes to audit, very few companies have been audited to see whether there's a declaration or people who have asked for a refund falsely. We first also need to recruit the staff. URA, the staff that we have in URA is not enough. That's why they cannot even meet the targets of the audits are supposed to do. Because audits help them to discover the people who are faulted or where there's fraud, but that's also not missing. So increase the staffing, recruit more. Of course, they are recruited another 600 or so, but we need more in order to reach every point. If we ended up having at every constituency or at every district, we have a revenue office that is in charge of helping in collecting taxes, we'll be able to raise taxes. But to me, those are the areas that we feel we should be able to do that. Of course, the other areas are areas where people always, where people spend lavishly on people on luxurious things. You can increase taxes on that, tax rates on that. The other one where, the demand for it is inelastic. Like you look at in the telecom industry. To me, the telecom industry, I think government needs to strengthen and expand UTL. Because a telecom company, whether you want or not, someone will use a phone, and every Ugandan will use it. And it will be the easiest tax, if the tax is put on it, it will be the easiest tax to collect, because everybody wants to make a call. for either for leisure, for what. But at the same time, it's easier for people. If people think it's expensive, then they don't make calls. But by the nature of our world today, it has changed. So if we put taxes on that, of course not making it expensive, but affordable, we should be able to realize a lot of money. We shouldn't allow this MTN, Airtel companies to extract money from this country, because to me that should have been a monopoly by government, such that that money that people, that companies, foreign companies are making should have remained in these countries. The other one is on the issues of the banks. Most of these foreign banks are taking a lot of money. If you know how much these foreign banks remit out of this country, it's a lot of money. And they have become like a monopoly even of public servants, because government should also be able to direct that all civil servants' accounts should be with the local banks. But we are just giving it to these companies, and they are getting it for free. We would have used sent in at a bank, post bank. It's just a few. I think it's only UPDF which I'm seeing using the post bank. But otherwise, if we leave it that way, we're going to lose out.
Not so many Ugandans are actually willing to pay taxes. They're not registered. And you see, the most affected victims are the SMEs, small and intermediate enterprises. Yet the potential people that could actually help the Uganda Revenue Authority reach the target of the 29 trillion.
The big companies.
Evade taxes.
Yes. They avoid...
I related to what we saw in the Daily Monitor today in the press about how government study loan scheme favors the rich. So in every part in Uganda, a rich person, it's easy. A poor person, you're disadvantaged.
So definitely, I must say, really, the fact that he mentioned about registering companies, you know, because most people, I must say, do not pay taxes. Most companies.
Yeah.
Some companies do not pay taxes. They're not registered. So definitely, you know, we do not know how it's going to go with registering companies. That could be another way, like he said. But of course, I must say, maybe they could find a way of taxing indirectly.
Indirect taxes.
Tax.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you, for Ugandans, seeing
the direct tax.
A direct tax now, pampers have been increased at a certain percentage. Wow. It's going to be the talk of the town, or the talk of the day. So if probably they could, you know, you could tax people indirectly, maybe using mobile money, or you know, that would, people wouldn't mind that much. They'll be like, oh, maybe the services, maybe
increase.
So the direct tax really affects people, because they're seeing the products. Wow. So I'm selling diapers. Wow. So I have to find means of also hiking my prices. Yes, so that I have to pay tax, then rent. You know, it's a lot of work. So definitely, we shall see how they're going to actually make sure that they mobilize and get taxes from businesses and of course the people, mostly companies, NGOs, these foreign investors. The money that, like you talked about it actually, the company, the foreign companies really.
NGOs, sometimes they're not taxed because they're non-profit oriented, despite the fact. Anyway, Uganda, quite lots of...
I mean, he was actually, if I'm not getting profits, why are you taxing me really? Where am I really benefiting? I'm really losing out already and I'm being taxed, so leniency.
Okay, it's 28 minutes past 8. You're still watching Smart Men's Business. I'm Anju Baregi with Massey Consumer this morning, Drive Your Business. But now, let's get into the break, and when we return, we shall be taking a look at what's happening into the sports, business, and entertainment. Stick around.